Well, hello, hello, you unbelievably luscious, delicious. Oh, oh, so sexy, sexy person. Now you may ask, how do I know you're so luscious? How do I know you're so sexy? Well, you watch this channel, and that tells me everything I need to know because the people who watch this channel are the sexiest people alive. Hosted by me, one of the most sexy people around, I'd like to think. All right, calm down, relax. We're almost to the finish line. I know you're frightened, I know you're scared. Let me get comfortable. Now, today is a no makeup day, and that's because, gosh darn it, I just woke up. I've got my coffee here. It's delicious. We're going to have a conversation about a dream I had. Excuse me, I had a dream last night. It was a really cool dream. It was like I was living an alternate life. You know, they say that we live multiple lives at the same time. Like there's a part of us that's living this life, there's a part of us that's living in China. It was great. Anyway, in this dream that I had last night with Donald Trump, he went crazy. And we've kind of been slowly watching Trump go crazy for a while. But what was interesting about this dream was that I got to go back in the dream and play it over and over and over again so that I would say, wow, I want to put that on repeat. I want to go back and because I don't totally understand what I've seen. But in the dream, he came out of this room and there was this foyer and he began ranting and raving and imploding. It felt to me like the stress of the campaign had been very bad on his mental health, that he was already beginning to decline mentally. He doesn't have the best diet in the world. He doesn't have the best mental health anyway. And so in the dream, it kind of took over, and he became so crazy in the dream that it became apparent that there needed to be some kind of intervention. He was standing in this place and going so berserk in the dream, so completely mad, so completely insane in the spotlight that it almost looked as if there was going to be some kind of federal intervention. And I was so taken away by it that in the dream I said, I've got to go back and look at that one more time. And I found myself when I woke up this morning thinking, I need to go back to that dream and see that one more time. Like I need a third time to see that dream. It's like he cracks. He goes so insane that it becomes apparent that he's a national security risk. I think there has to be some kind of intervention before the country gets itself in a very bad situation. That's what it looked like to me in the dream. He was ranting, he was screaming, he was talking about killing all of his enemies. He's going to kill them all. And everybody was watching him, and it became apparent to everyone that he had completely lost his mind. That's the dream. And that some kind of intervention is going to happen. I had said in past remotes that I kind of felt like he gets sick and he drops out. In a way, he has dropped out. He's still going to certain events, but the events are poorly attended. People are walking out. He's ranting and raving. And in a way, he feels that he can win without doing, as long as he doesn't get in front of a reporter that's going to ask him real questions. He could win so long at the going towards the home stretch. There's this feeling that as long as they don't get him on camera, he could win. As long as they don't cover his rallies, everything he says in rallies, he could win just on namesake alone, because people aren't really seeing him going completely crazy. So I want to understand this dream a little bit better. So I brought out a bunch of cards and I just want to look more at the mental health of Trump. But it looked like he really goes crazy, that it's going to get so bad in the next 3 to 4 days that we could have to see some kind of security intervention. That's what it looks like. Okay, without further ado, if you could like, share, subscribe before we get started, that would be awesome as we slowly make our way towards 100K. It'd be nice if we got there by the end of the year. Let's go ahead, get ourselves nice and comfortable. It's a no makeup day, like I said. Let's do the empath prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Let's do it. Yeah, it was an amazing dream. I mean, he was standing there and he was just ranting and raving. And I think I was thinking in the dream, isn't somebody going to do something? Because this guy has really lost his mind. Can we protect ourselves from ourselves? I mean, this guy is really crazy even for him. And it felt to me like the main reason it was happening was because he was just so stressed out and exhausted that it was really having a negative impact on his mental health. Let's take a look. Good and shuffled. I wanted them nice, good and shuffled. Using the universal rider weight. All right, where we are right now, the karma of Trump. Trump is the king of swords, and that's because he's a Gemini male. He's a Gemini male. Air sign is usually typified by swords. Swords in Chinese medicine. This is the metal element and the air element. It's kind of cool because you've got the clouds, which is the air, and the sword, which is the metal. Gemini, as I said, is an air sign. That's why I misspoke and said that Harris was a Gemini. She's a Libra, also Queen of Swords, though she often appears as the Queen of Wands. I assume she has a lot of fire in her chart. You can see he's standing. That's so cool because that's what the vision was. He was standing and railing against the machine. Seven of Wands is to fight back against many attackers. So this is someone who's like the crazy old man, get off my lawn, get off my lawn. Seven of Wands, fighting to defend his turf, fighting to defend his territory, just becoming increasingly unhinged. Where he's at right now, The Hierophant. The Hierophant is the higher ethos. It can be dogma. It can be the 12 steps if somebody is trying to stay clean and sober. It could be that he is being propped up financially by many churches and he has a family inheritance. So he inherited certain things. He's always been an entertainer. I think he's done Playboy porn. He's done a lot of crazy stuff. But I think he appeared. He never takes his clothes off, but I think he appeared as like the announcer in a porn video or something. But he's always been more of a performer, always wanted to be the class clown, the comedian, the performer. But he's got this inheritance over him and the Hierophant, which is kind of interesting, which is how one looks. He has inherited an ethos or he has inherited a dogma. What is above him? Smooth sailing, going into smoother waters. And what he sits in is things happening very, very quickly. What he's coming out of, a great rejoicing. And what he's entering into is complete betrayal, physical exhaustion, pains in the back. This can also be arthritis. This is when a person feels that they have been betrayed by their own. It could be that Trump gets sabotaged by his own security people, like Kelly. His immediate or seventh house is the moon card, which is lunacy, howling at the moon. And the seventh house is the immediate environment in a 12 card spread. His opposition is the eighth house, and his opposition, the devil. Devil can be addiction, codependency, it can be a drug problem. It can be over dependency, like I said, or codependency on somebody else. It's to be trapped by something. So his opposition is a feeling of being trapped, possibly drug problems, sex addiction. Could be changed to a relationship he doesn't want to be in, perhaps because he owes money to certain people. It's very interesting that, but the drug problem also, it's seduction, being being attracted to something that has chained you. Like I said, codependency, drug addiction. And I don't like this moon card for him in the seventh house. This kind of juxtaposition leads me to think that it's an addiction or problem with drugs that has affected his mental health, his hopes and fears. This is someone who suffers from grief over what he's lost. His final outcome is the Queen of Cups, the woman who rubs her lamp. It could be again spinning out or feeling that one is dreaming. He has strong advisors around him. King of Pentacles. I think that they see him as somebody that they can use to put themselves in positions of power, like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk wanting unchecked power, wanting to remove certain regulations. The worst thing that's going to happen is that Trump wins and he is discarded as soon as they can no longer use him. This is really a horrible way to abuse a mentally ill senior, that they're dragging him around, forcing him into physical exhaustion because he owes so much money, dragging his image around so that they themselves can have unchecked power. In exchange, they'll pay his debts. But you have this businessman right over him and his opposition. He refuses the cup. He refuses the cup. I think this guy is struggling with addiction. And I think he may be struggling with sobriety. It's interesting also that they chose the Hierophant, which is also often the 12 steps. This is almost like somebody trying to get clean and sober that's struggling with it. The devil in the eighth house, that's also interesting because his opposition is the devil. So it's again almost suggesting that he has somebody he's codependent with that he's having an issue with, and that it could be aggravating his sobriety. I mean, like if I didn't know this guy, this would be where my head would be going. Looking at these cards, hopes and fears, the Queen of Pentacles, I think his money situation. I think this is somebody who's worried about his money situation. And Six of Pentacles would indicate that justice will reign, that justice will reign, and that it's mercy will be weeded out to those that deserve it. Interesting. Very, very interesting cards. Again, if I didn't know this guy, I would think this is a guy who's struggling with codependency addiction or is trapped by another person because of whatever. Maybe they're in love. This could be somebody who's in love or codependent to somebody else, and they're struggling with addiction, lunacy, or the moon in the immediate environment, and that devil connection with their opposition. Six of Pentacles is about justice. Let me do another throw and see how he does in terms of the election. His mental health, it really does look like this guy's struggling to stay clean and sober. Will Trump win the 2024 election? Will he win? His numbers are looking pretty good. The exit polls are looking good for Trump. He's looking good in Nevada and Arizona. He's not looking good in Pennsylvania or Michigan. Is Trump going to win the 2024 election? What's the worst could happen? We wind up with deregulation and Elon Musk robots running the world, programmed, Elon Musk takes over the world with his artificial intelligence. That's the worst that's going to happen, right? The star is over Donald Trump with the Two of Pentacles as his karma, which is back and forth over the money, where he's at right now. Justice will reign over the case again, that this will be a balanced decision. It's interesting also, maybe it will be decided in the courts. Six of Pentacles again would be to show mercy, and then there's this karma card over him, which could also be the end. What is above of him, again, smoother waters lay ahead. What he sits in, sobriety and temperance. This guy is struggling with his addictions. What he's coming out of, the sun, exposure, and what he's entering into, lovers, trying to reach across the aisle. Where he's at right now, the courts, and weeding out justice of the courts. His opposition, a strong woman now, Queen of Wands. His hope and his fear, to be abandoned, poverty. And the final outcome for him, Two of Cups, again, trying to reach across the aisle. Where he's at, Two of Swords, refusal to acknowledge the courts, the opposition grieving, his hopes and fears, his health, and the final outcome for him, angry raging. It's this unchecked anger. It's this unchecked crazy, as if he has lost his mind, and the courts come in and they give a balanced decision, and he is not in control. So the courts don't appear to be on his side, and this is disturbing him. I know he has multiple court cases, and I know that they didn't support him in Georgia, and it's that Knight of Swords would indicate that he's frustrated, that he cannot control things. Let's take a look at Kamala Harris's cards and see how Kamala Harris does. We have a lot of Republicans voting early, and that does not necessarily bode well for the Democrats if Democrats don't get out and vote. We have record numbers of people voting, but that's also because Trump has told people to vote early. So we have the Democrats, but we also have the Republicans voting early. The other thing is that, yes, many Republicans have decided to vote for Harris, but some Democrats, something like 9%, are voting for Trump. So that cancels itself out. We're hoping that women will vote for Harris, but again, not all women are supporting Harris. So let's take a look at Harris. Will Harris win the 2024 election? Because we've lost voters in both Arizona and Nevada. It's no longer the Democratic stronghold that it was, and that has people concerned. A great rejoicing is coming, and the power of women is her karma, the Three of Cups, which is dancing in the streets, and we have scholarship. If we treat it intellectually and treat it as a political science, it will go well for us because of this Hermit card. Three of Cups is her karma, and so that could be rejoicing of women. Maybe Trump is angry because the courts are just and balanced. He's struggling with sobriety based on those cards. And it appears that the scholars and academics and the rejoicing is with Harris. Where she is at right now, the Knight of Cups, she is the knight on the white horse, coming with the Holy Grail, and her crossing card is a new beginning. A new beginning starts for Harris. What is above her? Conflict and fighting. She's in the middle of a race, a competition, and she takes the leap of faith. She did not have a lot of time to prep because she um, found out about this, the fact that she was running pretty early on. She's coming out of the devil. So the conflict is the devil, and what she is headed towards is victory within 30 days. Ace of Wands stands in the sixth house, which is the near future, and Ace of Wands is to win. It's the entrepreneur's card. It's also a phallic symbol, and it would suggest that there's a new vigorous push by the Democrats over the next 20, 30 days. Usually 30 days is the Ace of Wands. We're now at October 23rd, so we only have a couple of weeks. It could be a while until the final votes are counted. They could continue to be counting up to 30 days, but it's showing her winning. Where she's at right now, a great judgment. Her opposition, Page of Pentacles, out being potentially outcompeted financially, or again, Citizens United has made things out of control with the money, which means that a regular person cannot be president. Only the billionaires get to determine who becomes the president, and that means they're bought and sold by the billionaires, and that in and of itself means it's baked in against the people. So the opposition is actually the big money, Page of Pentacles, or to be receiving coin. Hopes and fears is the magician, the power, and the final outcome for her is a great growth, and that things are happening very rapidly. This looks to me like the Democrats were slow to get started, but that a massive push over the next week or two completely changes the numbers, and they start to move towards Harris. Um, this raging on her, it feels like Trump is raging on her because the numbers begin to swell in her favor, lovers across the aisle. And I'm concerned about fighting and potentially grieving in this. Nobody wants to get hurt. We don't want to see protest in the streets. We want people to be getting along. The final outcome is that Harris will win the race, and she will be the 47th president of the United States. She presents as the president, high priestess in the coming weeks. Her opposition becomes increasingly mentally confused. Seven of Cups. I'm telling you, I almost heard myself say, if I were a doctor, well, I am a doctor, but if I were Trump's doctor, based on the behavior I've seen, I want this guy clean and sober, and I'm worried about holes in the guy's brain. I really am. Seven of Cups, multiple cups, hopes and fears, the ethos, and we can see here the president card, the high priestess, and she wins the race. Harris will win the race for president of the United States. It could be decided in the courts. If so, it will be decided in her favor. It will be a just response. And unfortunately, uh, the devil is with Trump, and it seems to suggest that he has an addiction problem. The last thing that I want to throw For whatever reason, we were slow to get started. I think because we have jobs. I finally got my vote in. Tell me which state you're in and how you voted. But don't wait until election day. Vote early. I agree with that, regardless of who you vote for. You don't want to be in those long lines. As I had said, I have a prediction that Elon Musk will be developing his We robot, not only to give personal aid to people, the disabled. It all sounds well and good, but I predict that the We robot will be used in security, that they'll eventually be armed and turned into policing and security AI. And so it only costs $20,000 once he starts mass producing them, then it is cheaper for companies to hire robots for security that can work 24 hours a day if you're only paying $20,000 for a wee robot, it would be better to hire one of those than somebody in security that, number one, is going to be sleeping on the job, have a criminal record, all the problems that come with hiring people in security and then finding out they didn't pass their security check, or finding out they're sleeping on the job, or finding out that they are discriminating against somebody because of race, etc. Security, and then eventually police forces could be hiring We Robot to come in and act as the police. I'm going to go ahead and predict that, as I predicted that in the past. The concern here is that what happens is that you have somebody like Elon Musk that has their own artificial intelligence police force or army. He's surrounded himself by tons of security people, tons of security guards, and seek his own personal secret service. And so theoretically, this army of secret service that he's building through these robots would be protecting him, protecting the Capitol. If left unchecked, they would, take over the world. He would literally be able to take over the world with these artificial intelligence robots, machines, and military. All right, we're going to do one closing, and to see if there's any other messages, we're going to switch over now to the Lenormand and see if the Lenormand has anything to tell us. This was a lot of fun today. Thanks for coming in and hanging with me on this channel. Anything else we need to know about the future? Anything that we should be worried about? All right, the election, the future and the election. The ring, yes. So it's the brass ring. It's to be given the gift of the ring. Changes are coming to America. The flowers, and also good luck and good fortune. The legacy. It's interesting, when we look at our inheritance as Americans, we think of it as our Constitution. And so, in a way, it's the desire to go back to what our Constitution originally was. It's very exciting to see the advancements in artificial intelligence that are happening, that Musk is funding. But we also want to temper it with a strong sense of duty to the Constitution and to the ethics of this country, so that no one loses their human rights. And that seems to be the balance that we are able to achieve in the coming years. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging with me. If you're trying to get in for a reading, please check the information below. Be kind to all, so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.